Good morning, my Teaserking family. Sorry it took a minute to get on. First, I got on with no audio. That's why you see me quickly go off. It's because there's nothing I can do. I did update the college football, so now we know the quarterbacks and the coaches, as well as the team from last year, if it makes sense. Gold 33.15, silver 38.16. Again, the games with comex, it was 33.32 at 9:45, and the 10 o'clock drop took it down to 33.06, as it does every day. So all you need to do is wait for that to happen, watch it start going up and by, and you're going to win 99 out of 100. It's going to pop back up right after 10 o'clock, or as soon as it starts jumping up. And there you go. So it's about $10 higher. But in a stock, it's probably 30, 40 cents. So that's good. There's big problems in Ukraine. They're kidnapping their own people, their kids. They're going out like the SS and kidnapping the kids and throwing them in the military. What the fuck is that all about? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. I mean, that's what cracks me up. Everybody's, I guess rooting for the Ukraine. Why? I don't know. They're the evil ones here. They won't stop the war. They're killing millions of their own people. And Zelensky's stealing all the money. Yeah, let's root for them. What, are you kidding me? I mean, Putin at least is trying to not kill the people. And Zelensky's kidnapping his own 16-year-olds and 70-year-old men. He's just kidnapping them and putting them in the war. And, you got to be kidding me. And they're just trying to keep the war going because their strategy is to bankrupt Russia, because it happened, in the 80s, Reagan was able to beat them with economics. And I think but they got 20,000 tons of gold. That's never going to happen. Plus, they're selling their oil and their natural gas, so it's definitely not going to happen. Meanwhile, Ukraine is just Zelensky stealing all the money that he gets for the weapons, or he's selling the weapons to Mexico or other places, and then he's got a nice, comfortable bank account. So he's doing it for the money, and the U.S. is doing it for the money and for the defense contractors who run the country, who pay the politicians, and politicians say, yeah, let's get everybody to buy weapons. But it won't happen because they don't have money. They don't have trillions of dollars to spend on weapons. They might all say, oh, yeah, we'll do that. They ain't doing it. It's like me saying, I'm going to buy a Ferrari. Well, I don't have the money to buy the Ferrari. Now, when the gold goes up, maybe I do, but not now. So I don't know. Anyway, so that's gold and silver. So silver, and what happens, let me clarify, at the end of the month, they short it on purpose to get the price down to I guess the settlement price happens at the end of the month, not every day. So the lower the settlement price is, I guess, the better for these idiots. It's not a real price. And so they lower it every month end, and then we see it jump. But I think it's getting near the end of that because everybody's waiting for it, and they're buying the shit out of it at month end. The Russians and the Chinese and the Indians and the Brazilian, all the BRIC people. These tariffs are a joke. All right, so let's say I'm going to tariff you. Who are you going to tariff me? You're going to tariff me, so you're going to put a 50% of tariff if I sell you a Canadian club, right? You're going to put a 50% tariff on it. So my cost is $20. 50% would make it $10. It's $30. So you're making my cost $30, but I'm only selling it for $30 because my cost is $20. So I sell it for $30. I make 50%. So you're taking my profit away. Well, I say fuck off, and I go and I won't sell it to you. I'll sell it to Bobby. I'll sell it to Luke. I'm not going to sell it to you. Let's say it's George. I'm not going to sell it to George. I'll sell it where I make more profit because that's the point of it. That's what business is. Where can I make the most profit? That's where I go. And that's why all these US companies are in China because the costs were cheaper. The government was friendly to them. So they could go and instead of paying $50 an hour, it could pay $10 an hour. And it's just if it's Nike putting shoes on, if it's a computer or cell phone, it's just pop the parts in. They're not designing it, they're not engineers. So that's what they did. They went where it's cheaper. And if it's cheaper in Vietnam or India, they're going to go there and make the parts because they don't give a fuck. All they care about is making the part as cheap as possible. So they make because they can still sell it. They can still sell the Apple can still sell its iPhone for $1,600 here. But if their cost went from $100 to $75, they make more profit. So the incentive is to find the cheapest place. So on the tariffs, the incentive is find the cheapest place. So why would I sell to America? Okay, you have a lot of consumers, but you know what? So does Russia, so does China, so does India, so does Saudi Arabia. What the hell are you talking about? Maybe 50 years ago, but not now. And so Trump threatens the tariffs. All they do is say, fine, we won't trade with you. And you know who it hurts is us because we can't find the goods to buy or we can't get them at the cheap price that we would get from China. So now the manufacturers, when I go up to the outlet mall and buy more of these polo shirts, they just go to a different manufacturer from a different country. They go to the cheapest place. And then we still buy it based on the price. If it's a good price, if it's not a good price, we don't buy it. Price tells everything. So this is so Trump's just like a joke. I mean, I'm going to tariff this. He can't go to war, so he can't threaten war because he can never go. There will be no war with China. We do not have an army. Neither does China. China, while they're broke, has 70,000 tons of gold. The U.S., while we're broke, we have nothing. We have a stable coin. I was watching the Pied Piper on Mystic Manor, which kind of explains fairy tales in real, not the Disney version. And I love it. It really like Red Riding Hood and Cinderella and Snow White. They're much darker than Disney puts it out as. And a lot of evil people floating around Europe in those days. So the Pied Piper, he came in to get the rats out of Hemlin, which is a German city, and he couldn't do it, or they couldn't get him out. So the Pied Piper would blow his whistle, his little whatever you call it, and his instrument, and all the mice would follow, and he got him out. And then he went to get paid, and they wouldn't pay him. He says, "Oh, well, okay, fuck you," and he piped all the kids, and all the kids followed him. Now, there's a little bit of different story on Mystic Manor where they say there was recruiters out for kids to come and join the armies or join the governments or a lot of different things. They wanted like kids for that, like 14, 15-year-olds. So they believe what he really was a recruiter for like the army or the government. And he just said, hey, come on, I'll get you. There's no jobs here. I'll get you a job. You work on a ship, whatever it is. And so all the kids went with him, and that's what happened. They didn't really follow his because of the pipe. But now we go into cryptos, and we got our Pied Piper, Mr. Trump, who's sitting there going, oh, stable coins, that's it. And Bitcoin, look at that. And all the little kids are going to follow that, and they're all going to get eaten up. And what they're trying to do is get you out of gold because, oh, I'm going to get in a stable coin. I don't want gold. I'm going to sell my gold and get out of it. Gold is the answer. But the Pied Piper wants you in stable coin because who makes money on that? Oh, yeah, Mr. Trump. Like Mr. McMahon, Mr. Trump makes the money. He's got all this little bullshit going on and stable coins and Bitcoin. He owns a lot of Bitcoins. That's why Bitcoin's so expensive is Trump's buying it, which means the government's buying it. Sort of how they buy stocks. they're also buying Bitcoin. Look at the value, and they're just going to screw everybody. Uh, and that's what they're doing with this stable coin. Anything digital, please beware. It ain't good. If Trump's telling you to do it, it ain't good. And stay the fuck away from it. It's for $1, as I said yesterday, to have value must be backed by something, which is gold. If the dollar's not backed by an asset, gold or silver, it's not worth anything. This dollar is not worth anything. This dollar is not worth anything. Our little euro friend. These are not backed by anything. They're just paper. They're not worth anything. But what is stablecoin and Bitcoin backed by? Absolutely nothing. The stable coins will be backed by the dollar. Now, I've told you our story on the Titanic, and I'll repeat it. So it gets hit by the iceberg and it's going down. So you got to get off the Titanic into the lifeboat. And in our story, the lifeboat's gold and silver. And in the real world, the lifeboats were boats, but what I refer to is anything in dollars. So if the Titanic is all this, anything in dollars goes sinks. So if you're on the first floor of the boat and you're in stocks, you go, oh, I'm going to go in bonds, so I got to get to the second floor. You're still on the boat. And if I'm going to go into crypto or digital currency, that's the third floor. I'm still on the boat. If I go into real estate trust, I'm still on the boat because they're all priced in dollars. I'm never off the boat. And that's what they try to do, like in Wolf on Wall Street and all these others. The Attack on Wall Street guy and Jeremy Irons and whatever Wall Street firm company movie that was. What did they do? They tried to keep you in stocks, and then they survived and you died, right? We don't care about the customers. We only care about the business. What kind of bullshit is that? You don't fuck over your customers. So that's what happens. And here you have Trump, and he's not going to die. He's going to fuck everybody over. He'll sell his stuff before, and then it'll crash, just like Madoff did when he told J.P. Morgan to get out of his Madoff Ponzi scheme a week before he actually told the FBI, so they could get out while everybody else got slaughtered. And that's what you got to realize. Stable coins are worthless. They're digital. They're not real. I hate that they call them coins, Bitcoin. And in the thing I showed you, notice how they're the gold Bitcoins, which they're trying to make it look like they're gold. Another Madoff-esque, as it's Tiger-esque, it's Madoff-esque. Another Madoff-esque thing is trying to get you into believe they're gold and to believe they're coins. Those aren't Bitcoins. They are gold as an ounce of gold. It's gold. It's not Bitcoin. Even though it has a B on it. Well, I have an eagle. I have a 1 ounce gold eagle. It's gold. I mean, you can disguise it any way you want to, but it's gold. Bitcoin's not Bitcoin. Don't get caught into this Ponzi scheme, this Madoff. You're being Madoffed in crypto, anything digital. You're being Madoffed. I'm telling you, it can't have a value. It's not worth anything. It can be bid up to 115,000, which you don't know why. Most of it now appears to be by Trump buying it because he owns a lot of it. So he's buying the Bitcoin, and Larry Fink's buying the Bitcoin, pushing the price up to get you into believing it has a value, to get you out of gold or to get you to sell your gold. Don't sell your gold. What was that movie? Oh yeah, Bugsy, whatever. Don't sell your shares in the Flamingo. I never understood the ending of that movie. If the woman brought the 2 million back, why didn't he just call up Meyer and say, "Hey, Meyer, I got the 2 million. Don't kill me," because they were killing him because he stole, but he didn't steal. I don't know. I never liked half those mobsters in it were just stupid. The Bugsy role was just stupid. The whole idea of Bugsy was stupid. He has a casino in Vegas. So you don't shut it down, but you open one that's not $22 million to build. You might open one that's 100,000 to build. That's a nice, because you have nothing there. So just put anything there. You didn't have to make it this glamorous palace at the beginning. You could have made one, and then it starts making a lot more money, and then you take that money and make us another one, maybe for 200,000, and on and on and on, and then you can build your flamingo. So the whole concept didn't make any sense. uh oh, I need from the casino, they need to see the pool. Why do they, or that should have been the first thing. Where do you want the pool where they can see it in the casino? That all should have been discussed before he built it. um oh, well, we'll put a high beam in, we'll put a glass window in. Yeah, but it'll be 3 feet off the ground. Like, what the fuck is that? Just ridiculous. But that's just bad business. So here you have a Madoff happening. You have a stable coin, Bitcoin Madoff. It's a Ponzi scheme because we don't know. There's nothing backing it. Bitcoin, I was asked about Bitcoin way back in at the poker table. I go, what's it backed by? Nothing. Then don't buy it. It was very simple. If it's backed by gold, I would have maybe got in on it. But if it's backed by nothing, it's not real. If it's not real, why do I want to waste my money in it? Thank you. I'll be in gold with the rest of the world and the BRICS who are buying gold hand over fist. The demand's there. We just got to blow up comex, which is blowing up very soon. And we all know now, they all know comex is price fixed. When I told them before, they kept thinking it was profit taking and they didn't realize, is it fixed or not? And Mark McGuire's the whistleblower. I'm not a whistleblower. I'm just telling you what's happening. It's very simple. It's price fixed. So, I think as more people realize it's price fixed, the cat's out of the bag. They now should blow it up. Not let JP Morgan keep price fixing it and playing their little games. But again, it ends because people want physical. As soon as people want physical, it's the end of comex. Just like it was the end of Madoff. It worked until people wanted to pull their money. And with the real estate problem, they pulled their money to cover their other stocks. I don't know why you have other stocks. I keep telling people, I don't understand people. Just buy gold and silver and sit back and relax. No, I want to buy stock. I'm going to buy this stock and that. And I'll buy some real estate. Just buy the gold and silver and just let it go. By the end of the year, it'll be probably at least 4,500. It should be there now, but it's being kind of fought because Trump wants everybody in his stable coin so he can fuck everybody over. He's made $1 billion in it, in stable coin. So he's fucking everybody, right? And we're going to be the crypto country leader in the world. Yeah, because it's not real. So that shows you how stupid it is. But the underlying factor to all this is we're broke. The U.S. can tariff this and tariff that. Even if you were to do all your tariffs and get 50% from every country in the world, you'd still be broke because the dollar still has no value. The bottom line is what you're dealing with as your base is flawed. This is worthless. So no matter what you do above the line with stablecoin and Bitcoin and any other thing in dollars, stocks and bonds, real estate trust, anything you're doing, the bottom is you're still fucked because this is worthless. And this is what the socialists don't understand. I finally heard Mark McGuire or Alligator say it yesterday. He says it's just the socialists don't know what to do. And we'll play that today. They don't know what to do because they're socialists, they're Keynesians, and there's nothing in it. As an Austrian, how I would save the country is I buy as much gold as we can and make the price of gold 100,000 an ounce so I get out of my debt. It's very simple. And then go on a gold-backed currency. That's a gold certificate like they used to do the silver certificates, and we'd run by gold and we'd be fine. And then we can compete with BRICS. But we can't compete with BRICS and the dollar. And I don't understand this term de-dollarization. All they're doing is kind of, as I showed yesterday, they're coming. They have what uh, Jack Daniels, and we come out with Canadian Club. Well, we're not de-dollarizing Jack Daniels. We're just coming out with Canadian Club. We're just competing. That's all BRICS is doing. They're competing. We're going to have a gold back currency. You can have a US dollar. They're not getting out of it, but they're just trading in their own currency. And that's fine. And that's competition. And if the US is so good, they should be able to compete, which they can't. So if you're not competing, you're crying like, why does anybody want to play? That's what Trump's doing. Why doesn't anybody want to play with me? We don't like your game, and we want to play regular football, not touch football. We're not baseball. We want to play football. Oh, anybody else who de-dollarized goes with BRICS because he knows BRICS is the gold always wins. He has gold supposedly. He's making money in stablecoin, but it doesn't mean anything because it's not real money. It's just bullshit. It's monopoly money. And people are going to realize this. Stock market, let's see what the stock market's doing today. Probably up because these people are idiots. Most people are just clueless. So let's see the Dow. The Dow's up $30, 44,009, and it's going to go to like 10,000. Hi, David. How are you today? Did you see the Baseball Hall of Fame inductees? No. Who were they? The Lions are playing the Hall of Fame game this Thursday with San Diego. Knowing the Lions, they won't play any of their players. But no, who were they? CC Sabath, chocolate chip Sabath. That was one. Jesus Christ. Well, let's go into the baseball. Baseball Hall of Fame. CC Sabathia, Ichiro, Billy Wagner. Who the hell is Billy Wagner? So just those three? Dick Allen and Dave Parker highlight the. Oh, so Dick. So why didn't they say them? So who's Billy Wagner? Dick Allen. Now he was a good player for the Phillies in the '70s, and then Dave Parker. There you go, Luke. You're Dave Parker. We're voted in. Billy Wagner was known for closing out ball games, and he's now one of three Hall of Famers who never started a game. Okay, so he's a reliever. Never heard of him. I don't know. Don't really care. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, they found that Pete Rose dies, they put him in. We know Hulk Hogan died over the weekend. So I was watching some Hulk Hogan. There was a good match. There's a thing if you're interested on WrestleMania 1, which I highly, highly recommend. So it's this one here. Remembering Hulk Hogan. This is all about WrestleMania 1. Cyndi Lauper, Muhammad Ali, Billy Martin, Roddy Piper was great. Uh, Mr. T pitied everybody. So watch this one. I'm scared to put it on and then I'll get flagged. But excellent video. If you're a wrestling fan at all, you'll very much like WrestleMania 1. It was really cool. Ichiro was a singles hitter. He was all right. See, she's a Bathian. It's not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. Billy Wagner, I never heard of. Dave Parker, yes, and Richie Allen, absolutely for the Phillies. He was the real home run hitter. He could hit lights out, a lot of line drives, a lot of home runs. Very good. Anyway, watch the Hulk Hogan one. Uh, so let's get into some baseball. Well, am I done with the Pied Piper? So the Pied Piper is they're getting you out of gold into Bitcoin and crypto, right? They're getting you into crypto, into stable coins. It looks good. You know what it's like? It's that interview movie where they go to North Korea and they interview the North Korea guy, and then you think the food's real and you think everybody's eating and they're all starving, right? And something about these communist countries between Venezuela and North Korea where they starve all their people. And so it looks good on the window. It looks like there's people eating and look at all the food. And when he went into the store, it was the Green Goblin's son. So when he goes into the store, it's all fake. And that's what stablecoin and Bitcoin are. They look good, but they're fake. There's nothing inside of them. The fact that they're digital, what do you do if you lose electricity? Well, I got my money in a safe, and I got my gold in a safe. I'm fine if I lose electricity. All these Bitcoiners, and the problem is too is if the banks start going under, and you want to get your crypto out, you're going to put. So let's say you bank with Chase, and you've got your $100,000 Bitcoin because you bought 5 of them at $2, of course, and you weren't smart enough to sell at 20, 30, 40 grand. So you've hold it from $2 to 110, and now you want to pull your money. Yeah, I'm worried. I'm going to take it, and you do the withdrawal if you can, and it goes into Chase. See, now you got 100,000 in Chase. Do you actually think you're going to get your money out of Chase? Once the shit hits the fan, you're not getting 5 cents out of Chase. I've shown you the Chinese ones where people cannot get their money out of Chase, out of their banks, and your 110, you might be able to get 5 grand out of Chase. But if you think you're getting that 110 and it's yours and you're going to grab that money, you're out of your fucking minds. You don't realize what's about to happen. And that's what I'm trying to tell you and show you with what's going on in China. It's coming to a theater near you. Trump will go to this stable coin. He won't eliminate dollars because the mafia who runs the U.S. needs dollars to buy drugs and prostitution. They're not going to get shut out. They're not going to use I got to use stable coin to buy the drugs. So it'll never happen. That's got to stay in a cash society. So it won't ever go. Maybe it goes black market, but I want to use my Bitcoin to buy it. Yeah, probably not going to happen. WrestleMania 1 and 3 are really good. Check out WrestleMania 3. Yeah, I like WrestleMania 3. I showed that match between Macho Man and Steamboat, which was great, and Hogan and Andre, which was great. I love they showed in this one they showed King Kong Bundy beating the guy in 7 seconds. The guy, they go into the ropes. The guy runs at Bundy. He just puts him in a bear hug, slams him down, and the match is over. It was so good. But that's what. But McMahon was smart. He was seeing demand and other things. MTV just came out, and Cyndi Lauper was really popular, so he took them. Muhammad Ali, of course. Mr. T, he pitied everybody, and I think it was right after Rocky 3 came out. And then you had Hogan, which was very popular. And then Piper, who you love to hate. He was great at his job. So you had the soap opera, the making, we're going to beat you, and double crossing and all that stuff. So the storyline was very, very nice. The way they do movies, in case you don't know, is they build it to a climax, and then there's the pullback, which draws you in more, and then they go back, and then the pullback and that. So in other words, you watch like a romantic comedy, and they fall in love and they get together, and then there's always this push out where that breaks them up. That's on purpose, and then there's always the get back together, and they might break them up 2 or 3 times, and then that's why you get the happy ending because now you really like them together, and then the bullshit happens, they break up, but then they get back. Oh, I really do love you, and then they break up again, and then they at the end the happy ending. And it's Money Heist is probably the best, where they steal the gold, and then it gets stolen from them by Berlin's son, but then they get the gold back at the end, and everybody's happy. And that's kind of like, what a stupid storyline, having Berlin's kin steal it. Why would he steal it from the professor, who was his uncle, who there's no way he would steal it from him? So I think what happened was they didn't understand the end was that they're not giving the gold back. So they thought, oh, we're going to give the gold back to the state to get out. Well, why would they go in to do that, right? So that was never the thing. They were going to switch it for the brass to do it. So I think what the note said, if you saw the end of Money Heist, and Sierra gives the note to Raphael, Berlin's son, and it probably said on it, my guess is Copenhagen, where they exchanged fake for gold. They stole the gold and put back brass, right? And that's what they said. They switched it, and that would be my guess. What he wrote on it, it's Copenhagen. We're switching it. It's not. We're not giving the gold back. We're keeping it, and give me my gold back, probably. And that's how they got the gold back. But you can see the twist where they did it, and then it gets stolen, and then it's a happy ending. Everybody gets out. And I don't know why they killed Tokyo. I don't know why they killed these stars at the end of these movies. They did it in what's that movie? Not Lord of the Rings, but with all the dragons and the little blonde porn star. I don't know what it's called. I never watched it, but they fucked that up. I mean, here she's the popular character, and then they kill her. Why would you kill her? Why would you kill Tokyo? You didn't need to kill Tokyo. It was a stupid move. She should have been there at the end when they did it. I thought it was a terrible, terrible ending to kill her. He started to put the shows on pay-per-view back then. Yeah, they would go to the movies, and people would just go to a movie theater and watch it there. Yeah. Now the WWE shows are on Netflix and Peacock app. Oh, is that why Netflix stock is so high? Because they have it. The problem is there's no good wrestlers now. I don't watch it. It's stupid. I thought this whole Brock Lesnar era is stupid. I don't like him. I don't like his matches. They're stupid. All he does is German suplexes for 20 minutes. I liked the real wrestling, the Bret Hart and the Ric Flair's, Macho Man. I mean, that was wrestling, right? I don't know what this is. This is like football that has changed, right? We're not going to do kickoffs anymore. Or baseball. We're going to start the 10th inning with a guy on second. What the fuck am I watching? I don't want to watch that. I played baseball. You got to get on. You got to hit to get on or walk. You can't just get second. Well, we're trying to end the game soon. Why? Why are you trying to end the game early? Who cares? Well, analytics say we can only go 2 hours. I hear people tell me that, like, well, on YouTube, you can only run a video like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and the audience won't hold the attention. And I tell them, fuck off. I'm going to cover whatever needs to be covered. And, you can go in and watch a half hour and come back to it, or you can watch the segment you want, since I do gold, economics, and baseball and football. So do your just look at your football or look at the baseball or look at the gold or we're looking at Russia in the war. They're up 73 to nothing, and the US thinks they can win because the US is trying to bankrupt them. Anyway, it's just really stupid. David, I like John Cena. That's about it. It's like aerobics now, or acrobatics now. Well, that's Circus Soleil. Circus Soleil is acrobatics. It's not a circus. It's just jumping and tumbling and a lot of stuff like that. But that's okay. It's Circus Soleil. It hasn't lost its image, but it's only in Vegas, and Vegas is shutting down. So there's a lot of problems. Vegas is empty because it's too expensive. Everybody follows the wallet. You want to serve me a $5 steak at 11 o'clock and let me play blackjack for $5? I'll go. You want to make it where I got to pay a fucking stay at the Tuscany, a 3-star, $40 a night, but it's going to cost me $400 because you're going to resort fee me up the ass and then all these taxes. Yeah, probably not going to go. You're too expensive. Even the flight now, you fly Southwest, you fly Spirit, you get the ticket and it's like 200, let's say it's $300 total. Oh wait, but you want clothes, so you got even just a carry-on bag, not the even roller carry-on, but the little carry-on, your gym bag. Oh, that's $55 each way. That's another $100 to bring clothes on. Well, don't do that. Just fucking tell me what it's going to cost. Don't give me who's going to travel without clothes, right? Okay, maybe if you're going for one day, who travels for one day? You're going to go for at least 3 or 4 days. So I think it's just really stupid. Anyway, so there's a lot of bullshit going on. There's a lot of people who are reading analytics incorrectly, don't understand variables, don't understand any of that. You should do shorts. Those help the channel. Well, I'm looking into that. Because I do this every day. Yeah, I don't mind doing shorts. I think I will. If I can figure out what part to do because they're so long. Usually I'm exhausted at the end of this and I go swimming and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Maybe what I should do is just mark down like here, the Pied Piper piece. I should do a short on that. But that's really what's happening. The Pied Piper, all the children followed him, boom. And that's what's happening with Trump. He's the Pied Piper. He's moving everybody. Well, what time? 37 minutes. And he's Pied Pipering everybody out of gold and silver. And I don't even know if he's doing that, but he's trying to get you into crypto and whatchamacallit coin. Oh, come on. Stable coin. So he's trying to get you into it. Oh, look how nice it is. Look, it's stablecoin. Oh, look at Bitcoin. It's 115,000. You're going to get rich. I hear people still tell me it's going to go to 200. Why? Well, I don't really know, but it will. Because Trump, it's bullshit. It's not even real. And you'll never get your money out. So it would be nice to actually like win a bet. You win a football game, right? And it'd be nice to collect the winnings. Oh no, Wall Street doesn't want you ever to get your money back. They just go to Coke, you make some money, go to Apple, you make some money, go to Amazon, make some money, but just keep going to another stock. You don't actually want to take your money out of the system. That's why I day traded gold, because I would constantly take my money out. It would be like today, 10 o'clock, you saw the drop, and then 10:15, you saw it start going up. And now I might be out of it if I look at gold now. So here's how I would have played today. And here's how you beat the Wall Street. So I watch it at 10 o'clock drop. I don't do anything. And it goes to 33.06 or 07. Then you see it start going up. So I bought it at, let's say, 33.08. It went up to 12, it went down to 8, and then it went up to 16, and now it's at 33.13. Not a big day. I'd probably be waiting until 2 o'clock to sell it. And I'm only going to make 60 cents. Let's say these are cents. So I bought it at, $33.05. It's at 33.13. I make 6 or 7 cents times 1,000 shares. I make $60 and I'm probably out of it because I don't trust. I probably wait till 2 and then I get out of it because I don't trust them. And I don't want to stay in the system. I want to get out of the matrix. So I take my winnings and we'll play tomorrow, knowing that it dropped, knowing that it's not going down any further. You might hold it because I know it'll be back at 3,400. But I just day traded it, and not even day trade. I would buy at 10:30 ish and sell by 2 ish. I wanted to be out before the 10 o'clock drop the next day. So that's what you had to do, is you had to get out before that 10 o'clock drop. And then you would then go right back in and buy it. That's how you play it. And that keeps you out of the market. But what do they want you to do? They don't give a fuck about you. They only care about the firm, right? So these are your financial planners getting, no, we can't sell them gold because there's no commission. We'll put them in Apple, and now we'll put them in stablecoin and Bitcoin. And I don't know if there's any commission in that, but that's where they're going to put you. And then, oh, look, I'm making you money. Look how much money I made you in Bitcoin. How did it figure you made me money? I put you into it. Yeah. Okay. Great. It's a Ponzi. Did you put me in Madoff too? I wonder how many guys put him in Madoff. I'll look into shorts, David. Actually, somebody emailed me to help me with it. I haven't heard back from them, but yeah, I'd be interested in that. There's a button I can push for shorts. I got to just test it out, but I'll give that a try. Something weird happened. I get about 40 views every day. There was last week, I got like 300 views on one of my videos, and I can't figure it out. It's the one where I've got my green shirt on in Italy. And so I'll have to post my green shirt again. Do you guys understand my thumbnails? I'm just trying to be creative with that. Most of them are either Vegas or Italy. Sometimes they're Picasso's from Barcelona, sometimes Picasso's in Vegas. And Bellagio is Caesars, the Venetian, football, the Vegas, the Caesars sports book, or the Venetian poker table. So I'm trying to add flavor to my thumbnails instead of me just sitting there like this. Okay, so let's get to baseball. Baseball yesterday, 5-5, not a good day. I lose the Toronto game. Toronto loses 10-4. Scherzer, not a bad day. It was the Tigers scored like 7 runs in the 8th inning, and the Tigers finally hit. So it was Scherzer, who's not as good as he used to be. I thought he might be revenge because the Tigers let him go. We hit Pitt and Pitt under because of Scanes. Scanes wins 6-0. So we hit Scanes and we hit the under, knowing they're not going to hit Scanes. We lose with Philly against the Yankees. We lose Boston over 10 and Baltimore over 10. But then we hit the White Sox over 8.5. We lose Seattle. We hit the Mets in Texas, which are streaks. So that was yesterday. Now today, 7:28. There used to be a card game we'd play, 7:27, and you'd get 2 cards. Aces could be used as 1 or 11. So the best hand you could get would be 5 ace. Then you had 7 and 27. I didn't like it. It was just too much luck. So if I didn't get a good underhand, I just folded because everybody would bet $1. It cost you $20 and you didn't really have much. So it was like, nah, fuck that. So I think that was a stupid game. But yesterday was 7:27. I thought about that. Streaks. Cincinnati, 4-game win streak. Oakland, 4-game win streak. Tampa, 4-game losing streak. Houston, 4-game losing streak. Texas, 6-game win streak. The Mets, a 7-game win streak. And Atlanta, 5-game losing streak. So I did hit the Texas game as Texas was on a win streak and Atlanta was on a losing streak. Texas has been playing pretty good ball. So let me guess. If Detroit doesn't have the best record, they're not the best team anymore. So are you trying to tell me that the record determines if the team's the best team or not? So Kansas City was the best team last year, even though Philly kicked their ass in the Super Bowl? Yeah, it doesn't work like that, fellas. Sorry, but it isn't the best record is the best team. The best team's the best team. If they had a harder schedule, they might not have the best record, but they are the best team. And as we see it, so like there's like 6 teams better than Detroit now. I was looking. All right, let's go to baseball. So we start off with night games. Toronto and Baltimore. Toronto 110, 9.5. Chris Bassett 11-4 with a 3.88 against Zach Alflin 6-5 with a 5.78. Is there a Toronto or Baltimore? Well, Toronto was on a big win streak and lost. Nothing on Baltimore. I do like Toronto here with Bassett, the way they're hitting. Zach Eflin, they should hit the hell out of him. I'm going to go with Toronto. They've been playing well. And this is not a streak bet. This will be 2 units. So some bets I'm betting, like the Mets yesterday in Texas, just because it was on a streak. And they won. I was telling my friend was in Vegas, and he's playing blackjack and losing a little bit. I says, why don't you try roulette and backrack, because just bet the streak. So in roulette, if the table, if it's 4 red in a row hitting on the spins, bet the shit out of red till it loses. It gives you better luck and better odds than you're getting in blackjack. And then I said, go to backrack and play either bank or play or whatever is hitting. And if bank's hitting, bet bank. And if player's hitting, bet. Just play streaks. That's how you win at the casino. You have no edge over the casino, especially now they've fucked the odds up. You probably get even money on blackjack now. And you can probably only double down 11s. So before, if the dealer had a 5 and I had 8, I'm doubling down. 9, I'm doubling down. 10 or 11, I'm doubling down. Ace 6, I'm doubling down. Ace 7, I'm doubling down. The only hand I'm not doubling down is 12 to 16. So I said, go do that. It's a much better play than playing blackjack. Anyway, Arizona at Detroit. Detroit 125, 8.5. I don't know why Detroit's favored. Eduardo Rodriguez 3-6 with the 5.50 against Troy Melton, who had his major league debut and has a 10.8 ERA. 0-1. So I like Arizona, but they have a bad pitcher. 8.5. Now Detroit did score, but they only scored. They had a 7-run inning, so they scored 3 on Scherzer and then 7 on the bullpen. So is Detroit back hitting wise? I don't know. I don't think so. I can't bet this Melton cut. He's terrible. Eduardo Rodriguez 3-6 with the 5.50 doesn't enlighten me. I know Arizona can hit. They're going to hit a lot tonight. I will go over on this, but very, very small, over 8.5. My guess is Arizona will win the game because Troy Melton sucks. I love how they bring in, it's his major league debut. How did all the other pitchers get hurt? I don't understand baseball. The guys pitch not even 100 pitches every 5th day, and they get hurt. How can they get hurt? They're barely pitching. Well, they're spinning the ball too much. Well, then they have them not spin the ball. Well, no, we want them to spin the ball and hurt their arm. That's what it's this is how stupid it seems. But if they can really spin it and not hurt their arms, even though 99% of the pitchers who spin it a lot hurt their arms because it's on the elbow, right? You're throwing a pitch like this, and look at your elbow, right? It's really tough on your elbow. And I hurt my elbow. It's right here. And when I was like 13, I was trying to throw like curveballs or something. And my elbow hurt. It was the tendon really hurt. And I had to rest it for 3 or 4 days. It was better. And I didn't throw any of that. I just threw fastballs. I didn't know how to pitch. I could just throw well. I was a good athlete. I was a good second baseman, shortstop. So I had a good arm, but I didn't know how to pitch. Pitching's not about it was like, can I throw it over the plate? That's yeah. Okay. No, I can't even do that. Well, I can do it a little bit. I didn't want to be a pitcher. Maybe if I knew what I was doing, but Colorado, Cleveland, Cleveland. Holy shit, 275 and 9 over Colorado. Bradley Blaylock, 1-2 with an 8.67. Slade Ciccone from the Godfather movie, 5-4 with a 3.67. I don't understand this at all. Why is Cleveland this big a favorite and they don't hit? So I'm just leaving it alone. Tampa Bay at the Yanks. The Yanks won 38.5. Drew Rasmussen 7-5 with a 2.93. Cam Schittler 1-0 with the 4.35. I like Tampa there with Rasmussen and a 2.93, and they're the dog. So let's go Tampa 2. The Dodgers and the Reds. A playoff game in 1976. The Dodgers won 50-9. Mr. Fuji Yamamoto 8-7 with the 2.55. Chase Burns, who's supposed to be really good but not yet, 0-2 with the 6.65. I'm not gonna bet Mr. Fuji. Boston and Minnesota. Boston 110 9.5. Richard Fitz 1-4 with the 4.86. Simon Richardson 5-4 with the 4.14. No, thank you. The Bears and the Packers. The Bears are 115-8, just like football. Matthew Boyd 11-3 at the 2.20. Jacob Mizorowski, really good pitcher from Milwaukee, 4-1 with the 2.45. We're going under 8 here, so we're going the Cubbies under 8. And we'll go 3 units on this one. First, I'm going through the pitchers, then I'll look at the streaks because I don't remember who's streaking and not. Atlanta at Kansas City. Atlanta 170 favorite at Kansas City. Spencer Strider 4-8 with the 3.72 against Rich Hill 0-1 with the 1.80. Sounds familiar, but it looks like a bullpen guy. We went to U of M. He's a Coach Bo guy. He's pitched 1 game, 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. Yeah, I'm not fucking with him. I can't bet him. He's only pitched 1 time. And Spencer Strider, I don't get Atlanta being a 170 favorite at Kansas City. Casey's trying to catch the Tigers. Atlanta's in big doo-doo. The Phillies and the White Sox, interesting game. The White Sox aren't that bad, but they're 38-68, but they're better than they're doing. Philly 60-45 is now better than the Tigers. Does that make them the best team in baseball? Christopher Sanchez 9-2 with the 2.40 against Davis Martin 2-8 with the 3.89. I got to go with Philly here. I think that's a no-brainer. Too much talent on Philly. Miami, St. Louis, Miami 105-8. Edward Cabrera 4-4, 3.48. Andrew Palante 5-7, 4.91. Miami was on a 4-game winning streak that no longer exists. Washington, Houston 60-46, so they're better than the Tigers. Houston 235, 7.5. Brad Lohr 2-5, 3.99. Framber Valdez 11-4, the 2.67. We'll take the Framber. Let's go Houston 2 units. Texas and California. Texas minus 208.5. Jacob deGrom 10-2 with the 2.28. Jacob Konakowicz 3-0. Oh, my favorite villain, Jacob Konakowicz, is terrible. All right, we're taking Texas. Texas on a 6-game winning streak. Everything points to Texas tonight. They're at California, minus 200. Jacob deGrom. We're going to make this 7 units. This is my biggest play of the year. My lock of the year. 6-game win streak, DeGrom against the worst pitcher in baseball. Oh, it's It's so exciting. It's like betting Mahomes against like you know New Orleans or something. The Mets 62-44. They're better than the Tigers, so they must be the best team in baseball. San Diego 57-49. San Diego minus 130-8. Frankie Montez 3-1 with the 4.62 against Dylan Cease, who just is not there this year. 3-10 with the 4.59, and I believe the Mets are 7-game win streak. So we got to take the NYM or the JETSs, and we'll go 3 units here. San Diego just not playing well. The two relievers in the All-Star game really impressed me. Pitt against the 49ers. I think Pitt was at home yesterday with Scanes. So now they got to travel to the West Coast. They're going to be tired boys and girls. 130-8. Mitch Keller 4-10 with the 3.53, and Carson Wisenhunt 0-0 with an 0-0. Has he ever pitched before? So another guy that everybody knows, he doesn't even have his pitcher from East Carolina. I like that. How come where are the pitchers from UTSA? Where's Frank Harris? Who knows? I mean, this you can't bet. You have no data on this guy. And Seattle at Oakland. Seattle minus 118, 10.5. Luis Castillo 7-6 with the 3.30. JP Sears 7-8 with the 4.98. Oakland is on a 4-game winning streak. I'm going to bet this game over though. Oh, it's 10.5. Seattle can fucking hit Oakland, and it's at Oakland. Yeah, Seattle over 10.5 on the softball field. We'll go 3 units there. Now let's look. Cincinnati. Let's go to the streak. Cincinnati on a 4-game win streak. Plays the Dodgers. Ooh, the Dodgers 150. Chase Burns, I'm not touching this. It's just Chase Burns 0-2 with the 6.65. Yamayato 8-7 with the 2.55. I can't bet Cincinnati. Oakland, we bet the over. Tampa Bay 4-game losing streak. Oops, Tampa Bay at the Yankees on a 4-game losing streak. Rasmussen against Shitter. So we're going to take Tampa, but be careful. Houston on a 4-game losing streak. We took Houston. We're betting against the streaks. Don't really want to do that. Brad Lord 2-5. I'm going to cross out Houston because they're on a 4-game losing streak. Texas on a 6-game win streak we took. The Mets on a 7-game win streak we took. And Atlanta on a 5-game losing streak are playing Kansas City. And we didn't play that. Rich Hill with the 0-1 first game. He's played in 1 game. So this should be a KC thing, but I'm going to lay away from that. So some streaks, if the pitchers just aren't there, it's just hard to pick the streaks. Like you're looking for like Texas, DeGrom. Okay, perfect. They're on a 7-game win streak. They got DeGrom going. It's a winner. That's really what you're looking for. So we're taking Toronto 2-game for 2 units. Arizona over 8.5, 2 units. Tampa. Now we got to be careful. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Playing the Yankees with Cam Shitter. Cam Shitter's 1-0 with the 4.35. Pitched in 2 games. Gave up in 5 innings, gave up 3 runs to Seattle, and in 5 innings gave up 2 runs to Toronto. I don't know, 5 innings. Tampa should hit. Rasmussen 7. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we probably let's get off of Tampa too. But I won't bet the Yankees. So Tampa and Houston, I like today because of the good pitching, but we'll respect the streaks. Texas 6-game win streak, the Mets 7-game win streak. Definitely bet on those. And Atlanta on a 5-game losing streak. I couldn't bet against them, even though we wanted to. I mean, just looking at the streak, you want to play the streak. So I should be betting KC, but how can I play Rich Hill, who's pitched in one game this year? I can't. It's just too hard. Now they'll probably win it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we saw the Hall of Fame. Um, let's go into college football. I'm not going to go. I'll go through this like tomorrow or something. Basically, what I've added is Iowa State, Kansas State. The game's in Ireland, August 23rd. Kansas State's a 3.5 point favorite, total of 50. Last year, Iowa State had a 29-1 defense, Kansas State a 29 defense. Is that going to be this year? Well, the coaches are back. They're pretty good. So let's say it'd probably be similar. We have both quarterbacks are returning, Rocco Brock and the guy on Kansas State. Both coaches are back, so there's no change there. So I think this is a very live dog with Iowa State with the coach. Conversely, let's look at Texas, Ohio State. We have Ohio State 2.5 point favorites. Both teams were 8 teams last year. We don't know what they're going to be this year. We assume they'll be a strong offense, strong defense. The defenses last year, Texas a 13, Ohio State a 10. The total in the game is 50. Both quarterbacks are new. The Ohio State has a sophomore from Alabama who never played. He couldn't beat out Milrose. And then we have Arch Manning who didn't play for Texas, couldn't beat out Ewers. So we have new quarterbacks and returning coaches. Both quarterbacks are returning. Now, let's just go through one thing that I've picked up. Okay. Western Kentucky, they have a new quarterback from Abilene Christian. So I'm pointing that out. CMU, Central Michigan, has a new coach who's never coached before. This is his first coaching. So I'm calling that out. I'm calling out where the quarterback, Minnesota's quarterback, is a freshman. I'm calling it out. Buffalo's quarterback is from Kansas State. He was a backup there. Auburn, new quarterback, and the new coach is Mr. Freeze, who is a good offensive mind. Kennesaw State, they have a new coach, his first time ever coaching, ever being a head coach. App State, same thing, new coach, first time ever coaching. Charlotte, new coach. Vegas, new coach, Mullen from Mississippi State. Sam Houston gets a new coach. Not his first time. I'll put a 1 for first time. Who's a new coach from Sam Houston. Sam Houston coach was good. He's moved on to Temple. And I note that Temple, new coach, very good from Sam Houston. Sam Houston won their division last year in their first year and moving up into from Division 2. So now that coach is at Temple. The quarterback came with, who's very good. So that's what we have. UMass has a new coach and a new quarterback. They basically suck, but Temple will bring in the Sam Houston, much like Indiana did with Signotti from James Madison, who they were great at. James Madison, who won the conference, goes to Indiana and is good. He's a good coach. That's all you can say about UCLA. Has a new coach in Foster last year. Their defensive coordinator went to USC. We'll see USC this year. Marshall, 47 players left. The coach left. The quarterback left. They have a new coach in his first year. Purdue, new coach, first coaching gig. Let's see. Hawaii's got a new quarterback, but Timmy Chang's still the New Mexico. Dampier went to Utah, so they got a new quarterback and a new coach. Rice had Kurt Warner's kid. He moved on to Fresno State. That's where Kurt Warner's kid's at. Um, Blue Lafayette's got a new quarterback, but the returning coach. So, new coach at Rice. They're always terrible. Northwestern, a new coach, a new quarterback. Tulane has a new quarterback who's average, but the coach is back, and he was originally at Troy, and they were a very good team. Virginia, new coach, a new quarterback, the guy from North Texas who I loved, uh, and the returning coach. So look for this game, Coastal Carolina and Virginia. Now you know why Virginia is laying 12 and a half, because they got the quarterback from North Texas who threw for 35 touchdowns. So we'll see how it is, but don't be surprised if Virginia starts scoring a lot with the new quarterback. Syracuse, Tennessee both have new quarterbacks. Coaches are still there. Texas, Ohio State, we've covered. Florida Atlantic, new quarterback Voltkamp, and then a new coach in his first time ever coaching. Utah, UCLA, new quarterbacks, returning coaches. Big edge for Utah. Their coach knows what he's doing. Southern Miss. Now, Southern Miss got a lot of good players. They have a returning quarterback, but they got a new coach who's very good. Came from another school, but he's very good. So a lot of people left Southern Miss, like 50 guys left, but he brought in a bunch. So it's like Prime. He brought in the whole Jacksonville State team. Alabama, Florida State, both new quarterbacks, same good coaches. LSU, Clemson, everything's the same. Coach and quarterback are the same. Oregon State. Oregon State gets a good quarterback, same coach. VTech in South Carolina. Drones was the quarterback last year at VTech. So I wasn't sure if he came from somewhere else. So no change there. Virginia's the one that got the really good quarterback. Notre Dame, Miami, they both had to replace their quarterbacks, although Carson Beck from Georgia is a big replacement. Notre Dame's is not that good. So a slight edge to Miami, but the defense goes to Notre Dame. The coach goes to Notre Dame. The running goes to Notre Dame. We will see. Missouri State, who's new, moving up from Division II. USC. Now, USC's laying 32 with a total of 59. Quarterback and coach are back for both teams. And I think USC is going to kill them because, they've been frustrated, but they got their quarterback for this system, and you know how he likes running the score up. And they have the defense. They have the defensive coordinator from UCLA who's there now with his defense. Look for this to really look for USC. I'm picking USC to win the Big Ten. TCU, North Carolina. TCU's strong quarterback and coach, and North Carolina has a new quarterback, and Bill Belichick's girlfriend is the coach. So that's what I'm showing you. I'm showing you first-year coaches who have never coached before. There's way too many of those. There's 5 or 6 of those. That's freaking ridiculous. All right. And then it's just quarterbacks moving around a little. I think there's less of that. That'll start calming down because, I do not buy it for a minute. They're paying anybody $5 million as a quarterback. I don't buy it. It's bullshit. That ain't happening. All right. So that's a little college football. We talked pros over the weekend. We have the Hall of Fame game. We'll rip that apart Friday. My unemployment claim came. It was fine. It was withdrawn because they didn't have a case, and they just probably saw, was I on vacation? Notice how they waited till the end of July, probably thinking I'm on vacation, which I almost was, or thinking I might not get the mail or not even notice it. So they took a shot, and I was home, and I did get it, and I did respond. They dropped it, so no worries there. I did my normal unemployment today. Now the Ford interview on Thursday. I'm waiting to hear back if I'm in the next. So the next group is they call you to go in the office. All right, fine. So we will see about that. And since I had the interview Thursday, I would expect to by Thursday I should hear something. My what do you call it? My revelation was it was going to be Thursday at 1 when the hearing was. Since the hearing's dropped, so it'll probably still be Thursday at 1, right? So I'll probably get a call tomorrow. Can you come in Thursday at 1? And I'll say, of course. And I'll laugh and tell you guys, yep, I was right again. My prophecy is strong. All right, let's go to we won't go into this. Zelensky caught erasing evidence. They're finding more and more Zelensky's been stealing money, like $1 billion. So every time the U.S. gives him money, he just steals it. Doesn't go to the war because he knows he can't win. What's he going to do? Even if they get missiles from the U.S. or anybody, they're only going to get 5 or 10. Russia's sending over 500. What's 5 or 10 going to do? So it's just a bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. It's the U.S. thinks it'll get out of the recession by having war, so they want 3. They'll never fight China because that'll never happen. This is how they want to fight Russia by paying Ukraine to fight them. Here, you fight them. We can't. We don't want to fight them. You fight them. That's funny as hell. And anyway, that's it. So it's Zelensky embezzling billions. Let's take a let's look at Egon first, and then we'll go there.
People that don't understand, because markets are at the top. It's like October 29. Everybody thought that this would go on forever, the US stock market. Of course, it will never stop. And that's what people feel today also. So therefore, we are not seeing any major shift in fear, if you want, of what's going to happen today. But so sadly, it'll be a shock for most people. Whether we like it or not, we are going to have a gold rush. The market is international, so whatever country tries to manipulate gold or hold it down, so they're not going to succeed. The market is bigger than any individual country now, and I don't think that the US has 8,100 ton clear and free gold. Absolutely don't believe that at all.
Here's how you can mirror your iPhone directly to your car.
See, that's been my point. There's no way that, and if the US had it, I would believe they'd show it, or somehow you would know it. Like, how do we know China's got 70,000 tons and Russia's got 20,000? I mean, we know they have that. So if they have it, why do we not know that U.S. has 8,000 tons? And nobody believes it. Egon doesn't. Mark McGuire doesn't. Nobody believes we've got 8,000 tons. We've sold a lot of it off. So there could be gold in Fort Knox, but it's China's gold. It's not ours. So that's what we have. So we don't have it. Anyway, so let's look at Zelensky embezzling billions. What a loser this guy is.
All Ukrainians know that Zelensky's draft officers, the territorial centers for recruitment, or TCRs, well, they're literally abducting people in broad daylight. There's a plethora of videos on social media where men are being nabbed in the streets, that the number of political prisoners in Ukraine runs into the thousands. Constitutional norms and laws are not being implemented. Thus, as we speak, his accomplices are destroying documents, exposing corruption in the highest echelons of power, including the Kiev usurper and his team, who've spent billions of dollars in budget funds and Western aid. As for our Western colleagues, they're averting their eyes in shame when we point out that these are the kinds of authorities they've given rise to in Ukraine. Can you imagine what it's like for ordinary Ukrainians to listen to such vile lies?
I mean, can you believe this guy kidnaps his own people and throws them in the military? 16-year-olds, 70-year-olds. Here, you're in the military. You just got drafted. Yeah, you're going to get killed by the Russians. But you know what? I'm going to get $1 billion for it, so I don't care. Unbelievable. All right, a little bit more of this. That's real. That's exactly what's happening.
Thank you, President. To be frank, when we heard about this meeting on Ukraine being requested by our Western colleagues, there was a fleeting thought in our minds. We thought that the reason for this was the fact that at the start of July, we received a poignant letter from a group of Ukrainian political prisoners addressed to the Security Council President. Let me remind you that it was signed by well-known politicians, human rights defenders, civil servants, and MPs who are today prisoners of the Zelensky regime. For instance, Elena Berezhnaya, Vyacheslav Boguslayev, Vitaly Godina, Artem Dmitruk, Alexander Dubinsky, Oleg Kulinich, Miroslav Oleshko, Alexander Oleynikov, Yuri
Jimmy
Rebucha.
Anvil Neinhard.
You all had an opportunity to read that letter and to see for yourself that the number of political prisoners in Ukraine runs into the thousands. Constitutional norms and laws are not being implemented. People are being put behind bars for, and here I quote, calling for peace and the holding of elections, for opposing the war between Slav peoples, for their political and religious convictions, for criticizing the forced mobilization, and for their active civil stance, end of quote. Ukrainian political prisoners are calling on the Security Council to achieve a repeal, and here I quote again, of all illegal sanctions imposed since the start of the war on Ukrainian citizens. For instance, unconstitutional and repressive means of political persecution, end of quote. So it's not just a letter, it's a cri de coeur. Now, back then, we didn't draw the Council's attention to this document to avoid giving our foes a pretext to try and portray all of this as Russian propaganda, as they always do in such cases. Think no further than the fact that in January 2024, Gonzalo Lira, an American citizen, was tormented to death in a security service of Ukraine cell.
All right, we got the gist. A lot of corruption, a lot of kidnapping. He's spending money. He's got separate bank accounts and houses in other countries. All right, here's Trump's new crypto law will destroy something.
Why are seniors with memory problems putting fish oil on their temples at night?
That's the wrong question.
The United States has just...
Trump's new crypto law will destroy the Fed and the U.S. dollar. I don't know about that. It's all bullshit. It's the Pied Piper. He's leading you down over the mountain and killing you. Don't fall for this.
Taken a step that shocked the entire world, not from a position of strength, but out of fear. For years, Washington treated cryptocurrency as a trivial distraction. Congress has rushed through a new crypto assets law at lightning speed. Why? Because America has finally realized what's coming. The dollar is losing influence. Around the world, countries are turning away from the dollar and adopting cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies to break free from financial dependence on the United States.
See, notice how he didn't mention gold and silver. That's the real thing to break free from. Not crypto, not Bitcoin, not stablecoin. That doesn't get you out. That keeps you on the boat. As I said before, the Titanic's sinking. So if you go from the dollar into crypto, you're going from the first deck to the third deck. You're still on the ship. Only gold and silver get you on the lifeboat. That's what they're not telling you.
And panic is setting in Washington. This law is not about innovation, it's about control. The US is no longer leading. It is trying to catch up and seize power over digital money before it's too late. It needs to regulate, track, and dominate everything, because if it doesn't, the dollar risks becoming irrelevant in global trade. At the heart of this scramble is Donald Trump. While Washington desperately tries to maintain control, Trump has already made a move worth billions and is quietly profiting from the very crypto industry the government is now trying to rein in. So in this video, we'll break down what the new law really means, why the United States is so afraid, and how cryptocurrency is quietly turning the global financial system upside down. Let's start with this. For decades, the US dollar was the undisputed king of the global financial system. More than 80% of international trade was conducted through it. Central banks stockpiled dollars. Oil was sold exclusively for dollars, but that dominance is rapidly disappearing. By 2025, de-dollarization is no longer a fringe idea. It's a new reality reshaping how the world sees money. In Africa, Latin America, and already 10 countries across Asia, governments are actively seeking alternatives to the dollar. They're moving toward currency swaps, gold-backed trade, and increasingly, cryptocurrencies. China and Brazil now settle transactions in yuan. India buys Russian oil in rupees. Even African nations are testing blockchain-based settlement systems that bypass SWIFT. The BRICS alliance, once seen as symbolic, is now truly driving this shift, with new members bringing oil, resources, and political clout. This bloc has become a serious challenge to the Western financial system. Behind closed doors, BRICS is already discussing the launch of a digital currency that would fully eliminate the need for dollars in settlements. Why is this important? Because the entire US economy relies on global demand for the dollar. If countries stop using it for trade, they will also stop buying US government bonds. And without that, Washington will have no way to cover its trillion-dollar budget deficits. For years,
Well, first of all the countries have stopped buying treasuries. I don't know when this, it says 1 day ago, but I don't buy that. Not with 2,000 views in 1 day, kind of, no. But they've already stopped buying the bonds, and that's why he's going to the cryptos as a way to try to pay instead of the bonds, he'll use the crypto to run the country because we're broke. As I said, if your monthly expenses are 5,000, but you're only getting in 2,500 from your job, how do you pay the other 2,500? Well, we'll go take out a loan, we'll get a credit card and put it on that. But, at the end of the day, you're short and you need to get it. So the government is the same way. The government is not getting in enough money to pay all the bills. You got to pay all the government employees. You got to pay Social Security and Medicare. You got to pay for the defense contractors. You want to have these wars, and you got to pay for the debt on the 37 trillion. Where are you going to get the money from? What are you going to cut out? So you're looking for ways to get money because he knows it's all over. And that's where he's getting it from is stablecoin. Everybody buys stablecoin, and that'll go to the bonds, and that'll go to the debt, and then we'll get our 5,000 a month in to cover our expenses. But if you buy stablecoins, it goes to the bonds. You're never going to get paid. You're going to stand in line behind all the countries that we owe 37 trillion to. So you're 37 trillion and 10,000. You're never going to get paid. And why do you want to? Why do you want to get a bond? And I don't believe you draw interest on it. The stable coins are interest free. So you want to buy a 0% interest free bond. You don't get any interest on it in 10 years or 5 years, and you'll never get paid back. Who the fuck wants to be that stupid and do that? So that's what this is all about. He realizes nobody wants your treasuries. The point that they don't tell you is, oh yeah, by the way, I pulled a Madoff. This has no value. This is worthless. And if this is worthless, do you really want to own treasuries? That's why I say you don't want to own treasuries, stocks, money in the bank, real estate trust, because it's still attached to the dollar. And you don't want to buy Bitcoin or this stable coin. because it's not real. It has no value. It's backed maybe by the dollar, or it's priced in the dollar. And when the dollar goes out, so will Bitcoin and stablecoin and everything else. The only thing that's not needing the dollar is gold and silver. I mean, I don't just say it because I don't sell gold and silver. God forbid I sell any of it. I'm telling you what to do to save yourself. Otherwise, if you want to stay in the dollar or these dollar related things, it's going to zero. It's not maybe. Ask the Romans, ask the English, ask the French, ask the Amsterdam people who use tulips. It always goes to zero if it's not backed by gold. The reason Rome collapsed, they took the gold and silver out of the currency. And the Turks got all the gold and they went to war, and the Romans stopped fighting because they weren't getting paid gold. I mean, it's very easy. He who has the gold wins, and he who has the gold always wins, and he who gets rid of the gold always loses. All right.
The American financial system, backed by the Fed and Wall Street, simply ignored Bitcoin and digital assets. They believed it was no threat, just a toy. But while Washington dragged its feet, the rest of the world moved forward. El Salvador recognized Bitcoin as legal tender. China launched the
Wow, are we supposed to be impressed that El Salvador launched it because they were broke? So all these broke countries are going to Bitcoin as a way to save. It's not money. It's not currency. It's just, it's maybe a collectible, but wouldn't you rather own a Mantle card that have the card than, a Bitcoin that you don't have anything? Jesus.
digital yuan, smaller economy.
With Coinbase, you can trade cryptocurrency securely in 6 easy steps.
Create Bitcoin as legal tender. China launched the digital yuan. Smaller economies began testing central bank digital currencies, and Bitcoin's market cap surged past giants like Visa, JP Morgan, and Walmart. What was once seen as a technical experiment has now become a new economic reality. And now everything is shifting. Under Donald Trump, Washington began to see crypto not just as a trend, but as real power. And when the US recognizes power, it wants control. Trump made it clear he doesn't want the crypto industry to be run by anonymous coders or foreign platforms. He wants it all under American control. To be fair, not everyone in Washington is thinking only about power. Some politicians argue that regulation is necessary to protect people from scammers, hackers, and the volatility that currently dominates the crypto market.
It's called the invisible hand. We'll control it on our own. We don't need the government to regulate bullshit. They get their hands in it and it gets it all fucked up. But you're not running the Bitcoin or crypto. We're not getting out. Most people aren't getting out of dollars, but we're running the gold and silver. This is the Pied Piper trying to get you to go into this and not go into gold and silver. So wait a minute, too many people are going into gold and silver. Let's do stable. Let's do digital stable. Nobody will understand it. First of all, Bitcoin is a private collectible, right? Done by Mr. Fuji, and nobody knows who, which is really weird. It's the Chinese. It was the communist Chinese who did it, and they did it for money laundering and drug stuff. I mean, that's what Bitcoin's about. And Trump's in it, so that tells you a lot right there. But that's the point of it. It's not real. It's not. Don't ever think it's money. You are not going to Kroger's and using Bitcoin. Never. No way, no how. Because they won't accept it because nobody knows what the fuck it is and nobody knows the value. I asked the guy at the barbecue restaurant. I said, will you take silver? He says, yeah. I go, will you take Bitcoin? He says, not a chance. It's not real. Don't know what it is. Never will take Bitcoin. And it's private. So it's not money because it's not accepted. I went through that last time. What is, where's that? So I basically said, so to be money, I just had it. Oh, qualities of money, medium of exchange. It must be portable. A little bit does a lot of work. It's got to be scarce, which none of this is, except for gold and silver. Divisible for small exchanges. Acceptance. It must be accepted by everybody. The medium of exchange is what everybody wants. Does everybody want Bitcoin or stablecoin? Hell no. Give me a hell no, Stone Cold. And then it must be durable, which how can a digital thing be durable if there's no electricity? You can't get it. And most marketable commodity. Well, how the hell is digital the most marketable commodity? Are you kidding me? So don't tell me it's money. It isn't. Money is what everybody wants. And right now, everybody wants this, but now it's everybody wants gold and silver. You want something you can hold and store. It's a store of value, and you want that. It's very limited and high in demand. Now, the fact that I can't go to Kroger's with silver, this is what everybody keeps coming up with. Can you go with Bitcoin? No. Can you go with a Picasso or can you go with a Rolex? How about if I took my Mantle card? Could I go to the Kroger's? No. So why are you picking on gold and silver? You want to go with the dollar? Go ahead. It doesn't have a value. It's worthless. So if you want to take your worthless dollar to Kroger so you can buy food, go right, be my guest. I'm not taking the gold and silver there. I will change it for money. And if it becomes money, then all the prices at Kroger turn into silver. Silver tenth of an ounce, silver quarter of an ounce. We'll be buying you steaks and hamburgers and hot dogs.
View, oversight will bring reliability and legitimacy to the space, but Trump's rhetoric is becoming increasingly hardline. In rallies and interviews, he says openly, cryptocurrency is a matter of national security and U.S. leadership. In one of his speeches, he stated that it is America, not China or anyone else, that must lead in this space. What's happening now is no longer just regulation, it's a strategic takeover. The United States wants to bring cryptocurrency under its control, just as it reshaped the global financial system after World War II. Back then, it created the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Both institutions are headquartered in Washington.
And we see how well that works. So we want the most corrupt government in the world's history to run digital currency. Yeah, I don't think so.
Developing countries simply had to fall in line. That order didn't emerge naturally. It was designed. And now, digital currencies are being pulled into the very same system. Crypto has become the new battlefield. The US is beginning to regulate stablecoins, approve Bitcoin ETFs, and force crypto businesses to operate under American jurisdiction. This isn't about acceptance, it's about domination. Trump's billion-dollar crypto earnings aren't just a personal win. They're a signal that even the elites now believe in the power they once mocked. And just like with oil or gold, they won't allow such power to remain freely accessible. The focus has shifted. It's no longer about innovation, it's about control. The US may have missed the first wave of the crypto boom, but now it wants to own the finish line. And if we look at history, they won't stop until they get what they want. Assets like Bitcoin and stablecoins such as USDC operate outside the traditional banking system, which means they bypass the global reach of the dollar. Bitcoin crosses borders without permission. Stablecoins settle instantly, sidestepping SWIFT and the Federal Reserve's payment systems. This is where the real threat lies. Every transaction that avoids American banks weakens their influence, and every stablecoin not tied to the dollar strikes at the financial power of the US. If you dig deeper, the new crypto law grants massive powers to the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. They now decide which dollar-pegged stablecoins, like USDC or USDT, are allowed to operate legally. Any token that grows too quickly, strays from the correct exchange rate, or simply becomes too popular can be slowed down or shut off entirely.
It can be shut off. Can't shut off gold. Oh, but you can shut off. Oh, wait, there's this new Bitcoin Junior, and oh, look at it go. Oh, wait, we're going to shut it off. You don't think they're going to shut off Bitcoin? Now, because Trump's in it and he has $1 billion in it, he's not going to shut it off. But he transfers the money into stable coin or some other crap or buys gold with it. they'll shut it off 1, 2, 3. You're getting fucked. The Pied Piper is trying to get you out of gold. That's what this is all about, getting you out of gold. You're playing with fire if you go into these things. David, baseball can be very hard to pick daily. That's why I've gone, usually I take the best pitchers and I try to bet the best, like today, DeGrom, but I'm also looking at streaks. I think there's a lot of streaks in baseball. Teams get hot for a week or two. The Tigers got hot, then they're very cold. So you just go along with the streak, which is what I was saying about roulette. If red's hit, bet on red. And then black starts hitting, bet on black. Yes, you cannot play roulette every spin, but you can play the streak. And so all I'm saying is to pick baseball every day, if you play with the streak, you have a much better chance of winning. We had the Yankees under 11 times in a row. We bet against the Tigers and won it 7, 8 times. Milwaukee, we won they win 11, 12 in a row. We won about 9 of them. So we're just letting it go. Oh, Milwaukee's hot. Texas is hot now. We're betting Texas. Detroit's cold. We'll bet against Detroit. I mean, it's very simple. I had Seattle against Detroit, and then I had Texas against Detroit, and I had Toronto against Detroit. Win, 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 win. Now Detroit won. Okay. And it was amazing is they won without Skubal. Skubal lost, and they won with Joe Flaherty, who's terrible. Hard to believe he shut out Toronto. But we'll see. Now they got Joe Blow pitching tonight. They're playing Arizona, who can hit, so I'll be surprised if they win that game. They just said Hogan passed from complications from neck surgery. I heard he had a stroke, but maybe it was during the surgery he had a stroke. He had a lot of neck problems. I don't know why he kept doing the leg drop when it was very bad for you. It's like these pitchers doing the spin. Why do they keep doing the spin? Did he like surgeries? I mean, do another move. Do Stone Cold Stunner if you need to, or, a sleeper or something. You don't need to do that. So I thought it was very stupid. Like Andre's move was a bear hug. He'd get you in the bear hug. You'd never get out. You couldn't breathe. You'd give up. But that's it. Anyway, so let's go. I think we got the idea there. I want to get into alligator. Alligator really tears down crypto yesterday.
My name is Bill Phillips, and I'm 75 years old.
Nobody cares, Bill. Does anybody care about that?
There is a horrible similarity between today and 1929. Not just Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act 2, but also we're on the top of a credit bubble. And if you don't understand a credit bubble, just look at the debt, because that's the other side of the credit bubble. We are in a debt bubble, of that there is absolutely no doubt. And furthermore, if I'm right and bond yields start right.
See, we know that without him saying it, without researching it. The debts it's not even a debt bubble. We've printed $150 trillion, and basically there's no more petrodollar because Saudi Arabia now takes dollars from anybody. And the FX, where we forced you to take dollars to sell China to buy India, is gone, or Russia to buy Iran. So all that's gone. So all that money's printed. That's all you need to know. The inflation's huge. It's always inflation, but they don't want to call it inflation, or they change it to the debt bubble. No, it's the money's not worth anything. It's a very simple, you print the money to death. The money's got no value. That's it. That's the bottom line of what's wrong. That's it. That's going to crash everything. That's all you need to know, but they want to call it other things.
Then a lot of that debt is going to turn very, very bad. And when debt gets wiped out on that side, you can see what's going to happen to financial assets like equities and so on, and also the bonds themselves, the value of bonds, which people already own. It's just going to make the whole situation worse. So I think this is another 1929 lookalike.
Well, I think it's much worse because in 1929, the market was only at 290 and it went down to 29. Okay. And then it went back to 250. So the market came right back. That's what I keep saying. If you want to buy your gold and silver stocks, just let it go from 290 to 29 and then buy. I'm not saying not to buy, I'm just saying to wait to buy. But here it's at 44,000. It's being lifted up. It's going to be 100 times worse than 1929. However, they're not going to take our gold because back then the dollar was gold back. It's not gold back now. That's what Egon's saying. No, they're not going to take it. If they want to take it, they'll take these cryptos. They'll take the Bitcoin or they'll take the cyber coins. So they're not going to, the stable coins, they're not going to take your gold. Plus, most of it's in China and Russia anyway, and then in BRICS. So why is BRICS buying all the gold? They're not buying Bitcoin, and they're not. You think they're going to buy a stable coin that's backed by what, the dollar? They still haven't understood it. Those are the problems. The dollar is worthless. So if you're going to back something by the dollar, like a stable coin, you're Madoffing people into making them believe you're actually getting 15% on your. I actually know what I'm doing, and you're getting 15%, which is bullshit. Here, the stable coin backed by dollar does not give me any warm and fuzzy because the dollar's worthless. That's the key. Understand the dollar's worthless. If you understand that, you're way ahead of the game. And then you do a Rumpelstiltskin, you get the fuck out of dollars into gold and silver, and you just sit back and you make a fortune. But not only that, you don't lose a fortune. This is about getting out of dollars so you don't lose. And then because everybody's running into gold and silver, the gold and silver value goes up. So it's a double whammy for us. So really the intent was to really get out of the dollar. And when I first looked around, I said, I can't get into euros. I can't get into Swiss francs. And then it became clear the only thing I could get into was gold and silver, oh my God, then it's going to go way up. So it's a double header. All right.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the What the Finance podcast. On this episode, I have the pleasure of welcoming back Alistair McLeod. So Alistair is an educator for sound money, economics, geopolitics, and everything to do
But
with
he's not an economist.
So Alistair, thanks so much for coming back on the podcast.
That's my pleasure.
Looking forward to the conversation because, we're saying we haven't spoken for 6 months, but it seems like, we've lived years with everything happening in the market, the economy, with Trump, with all the policies he's trying to implement with his majority. But I'd really be interested in just, maybe we can take a step back and what are you currently seeing in the economy and in markets at the moment?
Well, they're two separate topics. The economies, global economies, I believe are descending into recession. I know that it's a sort of, if you like, slightly controversial statement if you focus on just the official statistics, but the official statistics actually don't tell the whole story of what's going on in the economy. Outside big business, outside city sectors, the small and medium-sized businesses, I think, are suffering very badly. It's not just in this country, the UK, but I think also in other jurisdictions, America. I would say also that all the uncertainty over tariffs and indeed the increase in tariffs, which are already coming through, are going to be very disruptive for economies. And this has very important implications because with G7 nations being heavily indebted in almost all instances, they need to have the tax income to retain credibility given their debt levels. If they don't have that, then they're in a debt trap. And basically, if you have an economy which is going into recession, then the budget deficit increases, the tax base decreases in effect, and you've got a debt trap. And this is particularly...
Have you ever heard me say debt trap in your life? Because I never have and I never will. There's really what he is trying to say, but he's Keynesian or not Austrian, is that the dollar's worthless. And you can't come back if the dollar's worthless. So if you have all your money on the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl this year, and they're like 4-12, You're not going to win. And that's what you have in dollar. If you have your money in the dollar or things tied to the dollar, the stocks, the bonds, the real estate trust, or these digitals, you're dead. It's worthless. But he doesn't understand that. That's how this is what frustrates me. I'm not too frustrated here. He doesn't get it. It's debt, but it's the debt that there's no value in the debt. That's the problem. Even if you pay the debt off, there's no, even if you owed no debt, you'd still be fucked because your dollars are worthless. You've ruined the money and the dollar is worthless. And that's the problem, not the debt. Because even if you can pay it off, it doesn't matter. You're fucked. Your money's worthless. So I got friends who I got 500 grand in a 401k. That's my retirement. Good for you. It's worthless. It's not worth anything because if it's in stocks, it's going to collapse. And if it's in dollars, it's going to collapse. Either way, you're fucked. You're still on the Titanic if you're in the stock deck or if you're in the 401k deck or you're in the money deck, you're fucked. You still are, the boat's still sinking. You are still going to get sunk because you're still on the boat. You haven't gotten off the boat. This is why I use that metaphor, the Titanic. You've got to get off the boat into the lifeboat. And the only thing that can do that is gold and silver. These digital bullshit will not get you off the boat. That's the point I'm making here. That's the Pied Piper saying, no, you can't get off the boat. Go to the third deck where the digital is. But don't cut into gold, just like the Wolf on Wall Street. No. We want you to stay in stocks. No matter what, keep them in stocks. Don't let them sell and get into money. That's the problem with the system. People are just not understanding it. And they lose, and they lose in 2000. They lost in 2008. They lost in 1929. It's all the same story. The money's worthless. That's why you don't have a central bank who ruins the fucking money. All right.
True in Japan, America, UK, France, Spain, now Germany. Germany's talking about ramping up, spending under Merz. Italy, I think, has got some sort of control. But mind you, if the economy starts going backwards along with the rest of Europe, then, all the good work that the Italians have done in improving their economy, I think, could be undone. Canada as well. The whole world, I think, is very badly affected by these tariffs. So that's the economic side. The credit side is that because of the debt traps, because of the enormous amount of debt that is going to be issued by governments, then interest rates are going to have to rise. And certainly along the yield curve, we already see that it's quite hard in most jurisdictions to persuade investors to buy long-dated stock. Unless they've actually got reasons to do so, like pension funds and certain insurance-type funds. But otherwise, trying to for governments trying to fund themselves with some longer-term debt is very, very difficult. And you see this in America. They're putting the emphasis very much on short-term funding. The other thing that I'm seeing is that there is a horrible similarity between today and 1929, not just Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act 2, but also we're on the top of a credit bubble. And if you don't understand a credit bubble, just look at the debt, because that's the other side of the credit bubble. We are in a debt bubble. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. And furthermore, if I'm right and bond yields start rising, then a lot of that debt is going to turn very, very bad. And when debt gets wiped out on that side, you can see what's going to happen to financial assets like equities and so on, but also the bonds themselves, the value of bonds, which people already own. it's just going to make the whole situation worse. So I think this is another 1929 lookalike.
An important day is coming for every American with money in the markets, and it'll be here sooner than you.
Worse. So I think this is another 1929 lookalike. What more do you want to know?
Yeah.
Why is he laughing?
But it does seem to the issue. You mentioned there that all these governments have, extremely large deficits. It seems post-COVID there was a step jump of, at least 2 or 3% of GDP higher in the deficits, and now it's getting to the point. The UK, I think last month they basically borrowed about £20 billion, and 16 billion of that they paid 16 billion of sort of interest in their current debt. So it's getting to the point it's becoming a real economic drag, and that's just going to continue to, basically it's going to be a vicious cycle where the economies need to keep borrowing to pay off the debt repayments for their debt. They can't invest in the economy. They need to increase taxes, which is going to reduce the size of the economy, reduce growth. So it seems to be that's the way.
But he misses it too. The money that all these countries have are worthless. It can be England and the Europe, the Germans, France, Canada, Switzerland, China, Russia. They're not backed by anything. So all the money, all the currencies are worthless. Debt or no debt is immaterial. The material part is your money doesn't have a value. You're trading monopoly money with Russia, and you're getting their monopoly money, or China, or Great Britain, or France, or Germany. They're all dealing with monopoly money. It's not about debt. It's about the money's worthless. God, these guys are, they try to come across like they are intelligent. Unfortunately, they're dealing with me, and I can prove them wrong most of the time. Now, I like these guys, but they're missing the boat. It's like the boat won't go down fast enough, but you still hit the iceberg. I don't care what country you are. You all hit the iceberg. All your boats are sinking. Your boat might sink slower than the other boat, but you're all sinking because your money has hit the iceberg.
Things are going unless there's radical change.
Well, in the UK, you're absolutely right. In the UK, the sensible thing to do is to cut spending. But
why? Is that going to make the money you get better?
In the UK, they tried. They mishandled it, I think. But it was an extremely difficult situation because Labour MPs are elected basically to preserve welfare payments to their constituents, and to try and swing welfare benefit cuts on far left Labour MPs. This wasn't going to work. So what do? We're going to have to increase taxes again. And already what's happening is that all the non-DOMs and all the rest of it have decided, well, to hell with this, we're going. And it's the same in other countries to a greater or lesser extent, but the top 1% of our taxpayers pay 30% of income tax. They're leaving. Goodbye. What happens to tax revenue? Look at properties. We have this sort of special situation in the UK where if you sell a property which is not your principal residence, then you are due to pay capital gains tax on the gain within 60 days. And what's happened to the residential property market is just ground to a halt. So, all the anticipated revenue from that is, whistle, gone. It's not happening. And virtually everything that, our wonderful sainted Chancellor did in her first budget has just basically come unstuck on her. And, there was this sort of, moment in Parliament where she was in tears for whatever reason. It wasn't stated, but I think it was just one of those things. Oh my God, whoa, oh dear, what have I done? I think it was one of those moments. What she's going to do now, we await. We poor sufferers, taxpayers.
And it seems to be a similar trend in the rest of Europe, in the US, and basically all Western countries. This seems to be the trend. And as you're saying, it's going to get to the point where if bond yields keep going up, debt repayment is going to keep dragging until something happens.
Well, the US is slightly different.
The answer is gold. If they would bring in gold and back their currency by gold, they would save their countries. The fact they don't have gold and they keep printing and printing and printing useless paper is the fucking problem. But everyone, oh, well, we can cut debt and increase taxes, and all the rich people are leaving, so we can't get tax revenue. We got to cut spending. It's not about balancing the budget. It's about your money's worthless. See how they talk around it, but they don't. They keep missing the point. You must have gold-backed currency. Somehow the BRICS nations get it. Putin gets it. China gets it. Brazil gets it. All the BRICS countries get it. If we back my money by gold, we'll be fine. But here you hear all this bullshit. Well, if we cut spending and everything, then everything will be fine. Unbelievable.
I mean, they really do suffer from pork barrel politics. So the idea of cutting public spending is actually a bit of a joke. But then when you've got a president who's a spendthrift as well, and he decides he's going to have this big, beautiful bill, I mean, you can see that, I mean, they've got a real problem. They really have. I don't know. I mean, the budget deficit there is in the order of about 6 or 7% anticipated. I think it'll probably be worse than that, actually. And on that basis, how are they going to fund themselves? I mean, the dollar has got a lot of downside in it. Perhaps not quite so much against other currencies, because it's already lost about 10, 12% this year so far. I think it's got a bit further to go, and it probably use another 5 to 10%. But principally, because the dollar is the numero uno currency, fiat currency, the king rat of fiat currencies, where it goes, the other currencies go. And we're seeing this, if you like, in the relationship between fiat currencies, which are credit, and real corporeal money without any counterparty risk in everybody's common law since Roman times. And that's gold. It's not gold going up. There's fiat currencies going down.
Such an idiot.
And they're going down at an accelerating pace.
And gold's going up because of demand.
If you realize that, then you can defend yourself. If you don't realize it, you'll go down with the currency.
Yeah, great point. And it does seem that the voters aren't ready for cuts in spending. So that's the issue. I think it has to get to the point where people have to vote these politicians out to encourage the kind of spending, like we saw with Malay and Argentina, where it was, it's been multiple decades of sort of stagnation. So it seems like that's what you need for there to be a massive shift, or maybe a disaster.
Well, I mean, for years, I mean, we've seen this coming. And for years, I've maintained that the only solution to this is crisis first, solution second. And I would add to that we get the crisis, we don't necessarily get the solution. But the point about a crisis is it focuses everybody's minds. And there will be a moment when a sensible politician realizes that he can take his electorate with him on the necessary reforms. But the problem we have with the current lot is they've got no idea what those reforms should be. So I can see the crisis here being really a lot worse, if you like, because of the socialist government we have, who are completely clueless about the problems. And
the socialist governments that we have, you heard it from him. This is what I keep telling you. They're all Keynesians, which are socialist, communists. They want the government to control everything, but when they fuck up because they can't control it, this is the chaos that happens. If you let the Austrians do it, the money's backed by gold, and you never, ever, ever have this. Everything always runs smoothly. Everybody knows what's going on. The money doesn't fuck around with the value, and you have gold backing everything. It's as simple as that.
Other countries, I think, have similar problems. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in America. I mean, I don't know how long President Trump is going to survive, but I think there's a growing possibility that it may well be impeached over the Epstein thing. I mean, we don't know, do we? But we'll have to see. I mean, but get back to the point. Crisis first, solution second. We just hope that the people in charge have got the common sense to see the solution. And given the electoral opportunity to implement it, because when you get a crisis, everybody, they stop, demanding yet more welfare, demanding this, demanding that. They see a crisis, real crisis, and then the establishment gets back behind the solution. That's really what we want to see.
Now, what you see behind me looks like a traditional shingle, but in fact, it's this panel right here.
God, so many fucking commercials.
It could happen. I don't know. The obvious question, if you like, that follows on from that is, when is it likely to happen? It could happen this year, next year. I think that things are deteriorating actually so rapidly that I don't see that we've got a huge amount of time. I think probably 18 months at most, be a lot sooner. And particularly as bond yields start rising and undermining the equity market, undermining the whole credit caboodle, this could actually happen very, very quickly.
Yeah, I imagine that when, this happens, I'm guessing it's going to be something extremely quick, extremely volatile, extremely ruthless, that all the central banks are going to come together and sort of come up with a global plan to resolve it. That seems to be what will happen. So maybe, you said the system might not collapse, but it sounds like the currencies are going to be the ones affected versus potentially these real assets. But do you see they could do that? They could potentially delay this issue by, yield curve control or other things that they've already done previously?
Kicking the can down the road yet again. It's always possible, they might give it a minor kick, but I think their toes are getting hurt rather hard from previous kicks. If I can sort of murder the metaphor. I really don't see that Western central banks actually have a solution to this. I really don't. Their terms of reference are completely wrong to deal with it for a start. The only thing that can happen, I think, is that if you get sort of systemic issues like suddenly risk in credit really escalating, when you get zombie companies beginning to fall over because they're loaded with unproductive debt, when perhaps banks are threatened by bad debts, then the Fed steps in, the Bank of England steps in, whatever. But what they do in stepping in is, they have to do rescues. They have to, try and get interest rates down. But can you really lower interest rates when inflation is rising? By inflation, I mean the purchasing power of currencies falling. When I read an article,
He used to call it pricing, so if somebody's listening to us.
I think it was earlier this week. So I looked at the values of base metals, and they are cheaper than they have been since 1900, measured in gold. This is very, very important. They've got the potential to triple.
It's a stupid analogy because gold's price fixed by comex, so you don't really know what the price of gold is. So to measure something that's price fixed is immaterial.
Even irrespective of what happens to the purchasing power of fiat currencies. And then when you've got the depreciation of fiat currencies on top of that, there's no knowing how high these base metal and also precious metal prices will go. And as we speak, there's a sort of there seems to be a crisis developing in platinum group metals. Just look at what's going up. Palladium, platinum, silver, copper, 50% this year roughly, and of course gold. This is telling us that we've got a real problem, and I really don't think that the G7 central banks actually can deal with this situation. And if you want evidence of that, just look at what the other central banks have been doing. They've been, dumping dollars, dumping euros in return for gold. These guys know what this situation really means. I just don't think, Anthony, there is a solution. Effectively, we're coming to
gold
the
is
end
always the
of
solution.
The currency era, which started in 1971.
And what do you see next?
Well, I think in the autumn we're going to see bond yields rising. I think that'll undermine equity markets, and that's going to trigger huge great flows of funds. Principally out of the dollar, and that will drive up, the measured in these fiat currencies will drive up gold and silver. Silver is already running it's fantastic. It's really running, but that's because it's so undervalued, along with copper, along with other base metals. Never mind the precious ones. So I think that's the thing to watch out for. If you see the 10-year US Treasury yield moving, say, above 4.25%, at the moment is 4.4% or thereabouts. I think that that is going to be a pretty clear signal that the summer lull is over, and we're going to face reality. Would you put together everything I've said about debt traps and about the consequences of Trump's tariffs and all the uncertainties and all the rest of it that's brought into the global economy? There you have it. I think the marker will be rising bond yields out along the yield curve. That is the thing that will trip it all up.
Welcome to Dalton Flooring Center, serving Southeast Michigan for over 45 years. Our
be rising bond yields out along the yield curve. That is the thing that will trip it all up.
And I guess the challenge that this will have is that the people who have assets, I guess some assets won't go up, like bonds and potentially real estate, but then there's going to be some assets that do go up. You mentioned precious metals, potentially some equities, potentially some maybe crypto. Who knows if that continues? So it seems like you don't think so. But anyway,
I'll tell you what you've got to do, Anthony, is you've got to realize that the whole world works on credit. It doesn't work. Real money is gold and silver, but it's never used in transactions. They are there to give credit a value, assuming it is exchangeable for credit. And at the moment, the exchangeable for credit is basically you get out of credit and you get into proper money. This affects absolutely everything. The idea that you can get into something like cryptos, for example, look, that's a speculation. You look at cryptos, particularly Bitcoin. Bitcoin behaves like a Mag 7 stock. Why? It's the same cohort that invests in that sort of techie stuff, if you like, that are basically long on Bitcoin. It's a ramp. It's full of very, very unsavory people. And there are a lot of people who've been sucked in on it. But as a sort of Mag 7 additional stock, it's, if you like, a business without any assets, without any trade, just a concept, and that's it. It is exactly like the tulipomania, but without an edible bulb underneath it. It is not money, and it's not a money substitute. No way. It does not have the legal status of that. And I keep on asking people, all these wonderful hodlers, when you get the real crisis in which you assume that Bitcoin is going to emerge as the means of exchange, because banks will all be bust and all the rest of it, how are you going to charge your mobile phones to exchange these damn things? You can forget that lot. I think the other thing is you've got to make this division between, and it's a legal division between corporeal money, which is only physical gold or whatever, which is final settlement and extinguishes credit, and incorporeal money, which is credit. In other words, something that doesn't actually exist, except as an obligation and the other side of an obligation. That's where the risk in all this is. So anything that depends on credit for its valuation goes down with credit. And I give you a very good example. Some of your viewers will have heard me say this before, but in the Great Inflation in Germany in 1922-23, You could buy a house in Berlin, 6-bedroom house, swanky part of Berlin, for $100. $100 was just slightly less than 5 ounces. Was that property values going up? Well, I'm sure they will have gone up in paper marks. Don't know how many trillions of paper marks. But in real terms, basically, they became valueless. And the other side of that was that if you had rental properties, the cost of maintaining them was greater than any income you could generate out of them. So this affects things that you would think are assets as well. Even estates. I mean, the inflation king, Hugo Stinnes, back in 23, was buying estates for nothing from landed gentry who'd fallen on hard times because of the inflation. They were impoverished by the great inflation. You could pick up, estates, farms, villages, the whole lot, if you had the means to do it. And the means to do it was either gold or gold substitutes, which in those days was the dollar at 20.6.
So you hear me talk about Warren Buffett, you hear me talk about all these guys with the money, but it's worthless, right? Trump has $1 billion in crypto, but it's worthless. This is my point. It'll all go to zero and it'll all be worthless. But if you have gold and silver, you're gold. You can afford the house for 5, as he said, 5 ounces. It was probably a lot more than $100. So the value, again, this is value in dollar versus value in gold. And the value in gold is much cheaper. A couple ounces of gold, you'll be buying these really expensive houses. But if you still have the monopoly money, yeah, it'll take you $1 million to buy a little house. Oh, but I have gold. Oh, 2 ounces will do it. That's the point I keep making to you. And that's what he just said. So the guy in Germany. So here's a quick little thing. Government is the sole responsible for the business cycle, the inflation. Eliminating runaway inflation, lessons from the German hyperinflation, since he talked about it. The Germans printed new money and halted future inflation expectations. Lessons of monetary reform. Policymakers must have credibility, convince the public to stop the inflation. Anti-inflation policy 1, focus, eliminate the inflation. Be wary of pessimist conclusions that inflation can be removed. Inflation can't be removed. Oh, it's 2%, 3%. Bullshit. Lessons of the German inflation from Hazlitt. Hyperinflation 1919 to 1923. Lasted 4 years there. The Reichsbank printed a lot of money off of gold, inflated for the war. They had to pay for World War I. November 1923, circulation of greater than 245 billion times Reichsmarks. Prices went up 1,380 billion times. So you go to the grocery store, and that's why you needed the wheelbarrow. That's what's going to happen, and that's what we talk about. There's one on the depression, which I don't want to get too much into it. So that's really what I wanted you to hit was the whole crypto is still in money, and you've got to understand that. Who's texting me? So I got 3 texts from scammers. Let's look at gold and silver. How are we doing? Probably be up later in the week once we get out of the month end. Gold is 33.11 and silver 38.14. But it's really not moving anywhere. It took the dive at just before 10. Notice how it takes the dive and then just doesn't do much. And silver 38.04, which is ridiculous. 218. I don't know. I keep getting these stupid spam phone calls and messages and stuff. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Everything in this goes to nothing because this is nothing. They printed how much for for Germany, right? 245 billion times they printed, and the prices went up 1,380 times. So almost 5, 6 to 1, it went up. Well, wait a minute. They printed the dollar. Why didn't that help strengthen the dollar? Right? November 23, circulation of 245 billion times. But wait, what did that do? It hurt the value. This is why Trump knows you can't print, and this is why he's coming out with stable coins and bitcoins, which are still priced in dollars, which will still be worthless. And he's trying to do it for bonds. So, as I say, don't let the Pied Piper get you out of gold and silver and into this bullshit crypto stuff that's worthless. Alligator just hit the nail on the head. I gotta mark that time because I'll just play that. This is at about the 23-minute mark. So again, raising taxes doesn't do anything. Printing the dollar doesn't do anything. Coming out with stable coins and bitcoins doesn't do anything. The only thing that can save your economy and the fiat money is gold. Hence why all the BRICS countries are buying gold. The demand for gold is raising the price. So it's not the dollar going down, and it's not the gold going up, it's the dollar going down. No, it's the dollar going down, it's gone. It is the gold going up, which is causing the gold price to go up. Now it's the comex price fixing it, keeping it at where it's at, but the demand's still very strong for gold, as we know. The price should be double by now. Again, they're keeping it down. I don't know if Trump's trying to buy gold and keeping the price down. Probably. He's awfully crooked, so we will see. But anyway, that's enough. 2 hours. So, any questions or comments? Understand inflation's money printing. It kills the value of the dollar 245 billion times, and basically the dollar, the Reichsmark was zero. They got out of it by printing Deutschmarks, but that only lasted a few years. And when Hitler took over 1932, he was broke. So he came out with just, monopoly money. Hey, this is worth something. And I'm Hitler, so it is worth something. Basically what he said. So keep that in mind. You have to buy gold and you have to get out of the dollar. And if you think of a better thing than gold and silver, maybe it's a Rolex, maybe it's a Mantle card, maybe it's a Picasso or a Van Gogh. Anything with a real asset. But be careful. The cyber coins or crypto is not worth anything. It's backed by dollar, which means it's backed by nothing, as you just said. And that's the problem. It's not backed by anything. Therefore, it has no value. The value comes from the dollar being backed by gold. That's why the U.S. won't show their hand and won't say, hey, we have 8,000 tons of gold. We'll show it. Well, I won't show it because if you know they don't have it, it's all over. If they had it, they'd show it and say, look, we have gold. Here it is. Even if it's brass painted gold, like on Money Heist, you would think they show something. So it's all bullshit. And where did the audit go? I thought we were going to audit it. No, we're not going to audit it. So it just kind of slipped away. Like, no, we're not going to audit it. Anyway, I think that's about it. That's where we're headed. Don't get Pied Piper. You got to be Rumpelstiltskin. You've got to turn bullshit paper into gold and silver. That's what you have to do. If you can do that, then that's it. That's the idea. You have to get out of the dollar because it's not worth anything. And if they print it, you'll need a wheelbarrow. Maybe we'll get into the wheelbarrow business. Stocks, forget it. They're priced in dollars. Anything priced in dollars goes down with the ship. Get on the lifeboat, which is gold and silver. Maybe a Rolex, maybe a Mantle card. I keep saying that because those are real assets. They will hold value, if I have 100 tons of gold. Oh, there's a Mano card I can get for a half ounce. I'll buy it because it's still a meaningful asset. We still don't mind buying assets, but you got to stay away from stocks, bonds, real estate trust. Even real estate will get crushed. Just like in Germany, that was a very big, expensive house that they could buy for $100, only in gold. In Reichsmarks, it would still be $1 million. But that's the point. The value of the dollar goes out and the value of the gold comes in. And that's why you want gold, because you can't lose value. And this whole COMEX thing is just bullshit. So you got to understand that. And it's the whole world, as Egon said. This is not just a U.S. price fixing. That's why it's not working, because the rest of the world's going, we want to buy gold too. And we want to buy that. China's been having problems with their banks, people wanting the money out. They've gone digital, which is bullshit. Again, they don't want to print their money. See, everybody knows if you print your money, it's worthless. So they're all trying to come out with digital, like, that's not money. Well, it's backed by the dollar. Yeah, it is money. It's money backed by the dollar. It's not real. Anyway, good luck on the baseball. And you're right, David. Baseball every day is hard. That's why if you go to the street, it's like playing, like I said, if you can play roulette every day, I would play the same thing. I would play the streaks. The streaks always win for you. You play the streaks, you're always going to win. Most of the streaks in baseball, like you wait, maybe we'll have to go to 3 games. And then it'll go 4, 5, 6, because it looks like after about 8 or 9, it's hard to keep the streak going. You're not going to win 25 in a row. So I think we got to pull it down to 3 and go and just play it out. And I think we'll make a lot of money doing that. We don't do it in football because we don't need to. We just bet Mahomes. We look at the matchups and everything. College, I did bring a little bit of that, but I have finished it. So it is. Every game has, if it's a new quarterback and if he's any good, and if it's a new coach or he's back. Most of it we know. Ohio State, new quarterback, same coach. Texas, new quarterback, same coach. Well, the bigger, it's the AAC, it's the Conference USA, it's the Sun Belt. Those are your conferences that most people have no idea but us. And that's where we make a lot of money. Anyway, that's it. Have a good day. Comments, anything, let me know. Write them down. I don't like comments in my comment section because I don't really have time to read them. If it's you're doing a great job, thank you very much. You can say that here. If it's you're an idiot, I got Bitcoin, then I don't need to read it anyway, because you know how I think in my theory. Get out $1, go into gold. So anything, that's basically it. So that'll save everybody, because gold's the only way out of this mess. That's it. Buy gold, back your dollar by gold, and everything's fine. But obviously we don't have gold. And the Chinese and BRICS are doing that exactly. All right, www.teaserking.com. Like I said, my football is all set. And off we go. All right, off to the pool. It's like 95 degrees here the last week, so it's very hot. All right, you take care. Have a good night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. All right, ciao, everybody.